Discover the career of your dreams. Learn how to get your foot in the door, stand out, and create the life you desire. This is our time. This is our adventure. I'm Siobhan Colleen. This is Industry Explorers. Hello, Industry Explorers. Welcome to another episode of our wonderful podcast. Today's guest is well known in the world of Cirque Du Soleil with 22 years of stage experience in 4 shows, and she's performed 7 different acrobatic acts, including aerial straps, rings, bungees, Chinese poles, Russian swing, and hand-to-hand acrobatics. In addition to her circus career success, our guest has achieved the highest titles, such as a 2-time world champion in sports acrobatics, 2-time world champion in fitness, as well as a 2-time Arnold Classic champion. She also has IMDb credits for her role of Diabolical Sinclair in the 2009 film Oscar and the Lady in Pink, and for her stunt role in the 2020 film Wonder Woman 1984. Now, filming for that occurred in 2018, and that was only 6 months after she gave birth to her baby. Holy cow, everything is indeed possible. Welcome to our show, Alya Titarenko. I hope I got your name right.
Yes, you did. Hello. Hello, everyone.
So you are an incredibly high achiever. When you were in high school, did you ever dream that you would accomplish all of these incredible achievements?
So first of all, I have to say I come from Ukraine, and our education is very different than in the United States. So we don't have definition of elementary school, middle school, high school. We just go in first grade and we just keep going to grade 11. So I've been always doing sports. I was a gymnast, and then I switched to sports acrobatics. And in my last 2 grades, I was training really, really hard, as well as studying really, really hard. And I never thought about how high I can get. I was just doing it. I was just doing it because I loved doing it. So I loved training, and I was going for it. Now, when I graduated school, then I had to make a choice. What's next? And I had to move to another city, the capital of Ukraine, Kiev. And I actually entered Academy of Light Industry. So I had to, because my parents, my relatives, they came out of there. So they shoved me in there. But it was the last thing I wanted to do. It was none of my interest. I wanted to continue being in sports. And quietly, I found amazing coaches in Kiev. And I started training with them, and they saw that I was very persistent. I was very stubborn. I wouldn't take no as an answer. I was just working hard. But sports acrobatics is a type of sport that you don't do it alone. You train it as a pair or trio or even 4. So before I was in the women's pair. So, when I came to train, I had no partner. But they saw I was just going. So like, okay, she needs a partner. So they went ahead to Ukrainian championship, and they found a partner for me from a different city. So they moved this girl to Kiev, and then we started to train really, really hard. And 5 months later, we became world champions. We didn't expect that. We had were good fit, and we worked again really hard. I mean, there is no secret. You just have to work hard. But sometimes you just need a little bit of magic, a bit of luck. And the worst part is that, the worst and the same time, the weirdest part, when we went for the world championship in Germany, we were traveling by bus for 2 days. So that's how our national team was traveling. And I got really, really sick. I had mumps. I got mumps. So imagine how I looked. I was swollen, huge. I had high fever. And I'm arriving there. I haven't eaten for days. I was skinny, but there was no question, compete or not compete. So they were like, okay, she can't compete. She's sick and so on. But I said, no, let me try. Let me do it. I'll try my best, So, but because I was so sick, I wasn't nervous. I was like, I just need to somehow magically go through this. And we did it the way we trained, and we won.
So how old were you around that time?
I was 18 because that was the first championship we did. It was a junior world championship. So it was my last chance to enter because 18 is the last age. So I did it, and we became overall champions. So it was a crazy story. I didn't think it would ever happen. But sometimes when you perform, or when you compete, you have so much adrenaline. It can go one way or the other way. And if you're someone who can handle adrenaline, it's great. And if you don't know how to do it, you can fail. So in my case, I was really nervous, but because I was sick, I forgot about this nervosity. So I just did it and I won. So if you train hard, it's in your body. Your body knows how to do it. Your body knows what to give out there. Even if you are tired or you are stressed, just trust it. Basically, that's what we did. And so we became world champions. It was 1995, such a long time ago. And then 1996, we became again world champions, but that was already seniors. And in 97, I joined Cirque du Soleil with my partner together. And at that time, Cirque du Soleil was really, really small because we did audition in 1995. So pretty much right after we won the world, 1 month later, I broke my arm and I did auditions with broken arm. How about that?
Oh, wow.
I know, right? And so we joined Cirque du Soleil in 97 for the creation of the show, which is the water show in Las Vegas. At that time, we didn't know the name of the show. It's not like now. Now, when the show is being created, they give it the name right away. But at the beginning, it was like top secret. You can't say what you're working on. You don't know the name of the show until like 1 month of the premiere, So it was a different time.
Wow.
And when we moved to Las Vegas, now it's 5 shows. Well, now shows are coming back. But before the pandemic, there were 6 shows. And when we moved to Las Vegas, it was only Mystère at that time. And All was the second show to start. So I was really at the beginning of kind of Cirque du Soleil. I saw where the company was going and it was beautiful.
What was it like auditioning for Cirque du Soleil back in the 90s?
Yeah, so in 1995, basically, again, now Cirque du Soleil is well known. And for us, just jumping back in 97, when we were flying to join company in Montreal, we had no idea what Cirque du Soleil was. And I did not want to join circus at all. When they sent the offer, I was like, I don't want to do it. Actually, I started, at that point, I was already studying in the University of Sports and Physical Education of Ukraine. Plus, I was still doing sport, but I was also studying my fitness career. So I was like, no, which circus? I don't want any circus. I don't know I'm not a circus person. But my mom, she wanted to be a circus performer. She wanted to be a trapeze artist. But at that time, there was nothing like this available. And she's actually a very successful fashion designer. But so she was the one, no, you got to take the chance. You should go. You should join the circus and you should do it. So because of my mom, she pushed me there. And then, as I said, we were flying to join Cirque du Soleil. We had no idea what the company was. But in 95, the audition was, I think similar to what it is right now. You basically had to show your primary skill, which is acro sport. But for me, it was tough to show because I just took the cast off my arm. And then we were doing some artistic work, choreographies. They want to see how you move, how well you can learn movements, and how you can express yourself. Those are kind of theatrical skills, which of course we didn't have any of the theatrical skills because sports and circus, even though at least Cirque du Soleil, even though on stage you're doing acrobatic skills, the ones you learned, but artistically it's very different. You have to be able to express. Like when we came to Montreal and we started to have jeu classes, it's like acting classes. You had to be, for example, fire or water or wind, not to show fire or water. You had to be fire or water. Like, what does that mean? So those kind of things to learn. And you might not even understand it in the first years. By working with Cirque, then you start to understand. And like I said, I never want to be in circus. I'm not a traditional circus performer. But because it's Cirque du Soleil, it's more theater than circus, I was there for 22 years. And I started at O, I did O, Saltimbanco, Love, Totem, and I went back to O 19 years later and I closed the circle.
In your early career years and during your tenure at Cirque, what were some of the biggest challenges that you had to face? And how did you overcome those challenges?
Well, because I've stayed there for so many years, there are lots of different challenges. It's just life is happening. I have 2 children, and both of my children were born while I was performing. So my first daughter was born while I was on Saltimbanco show, and my husband then as well. So to have a little baby and to perform and to find a schedule, because our schedule is very different than normal people's schedules. It's a night schedule. So at least this is part. And for a woman an artist to give birth and then to get back in shape, not just visually good looking shape, but functional shape, it's very different things. It's another thing. So And then, of course, you have injuries happening and you just get fatigue. You learn how to pace yourself. That's why, for example, when new people or youngsters join the company, they might be incredibly strong, but they might not last long because they wouldn't know how to pace themselves. And this is something you learn with experience, with life, because performing twice a night is like having 2 times competition a day. Can you handle that? Here's the question, right? So you need to learn how to handle yourself physically and mentally. And I remember when I was on Totem Show and we performed in New York, we were like a pilot project. They gave us 3 shows a day. So it was like we did Friday 2 shows, then Saturday 3 shows, and Sunday we start early 2 shows. It was a killer. But it was a killer not just physically, but mentally. You would be sitting between second and third show, and you don't know what to do, to warm up or to cool down, to warm up or to cool down. So those kind of things, some people actually quit because of those things. It's challenging on your body. So besides being a performer on stage, you need to be an athlete backstage. You need to know how to prepare yourself for those kind of things. So those, I would say, the most challenges you get because you work with your body. And this is your machine. Machines break, and we break for sure.
I think that's fantastic wisdom for anybody who's thinking about a career path in anything related to athletics, acrobatics, learning to pace yourself and building your mental toughness and learning how to prevent injury is super key wisdom that I just picked up from you just now. When it comes to mental toughness, when you were backstage in between show number 2 and 3 and you just didn't want to go on again, what was your method for pushing yourself through that?
Different people have different methods. Mine was, I had my routine. It might sound stupid for some people, silly or ridiculous, but this is the way I lasted. And in the show that I did Totem, for example, I had an act that was a rings trio act with 2 boys, but we had 3 boys and the boys were rotating. I was never rotating, I was alone. So I had to perform all the shows. But I knew no matter how tired I was, let's say if I'm taking a nap, 10 minutes nap before that, and let's say half an hour I have to go on stage. I had my routine. And I had the same routine of warming up, of doing the prep exercises. And right before you have backstage and then you have a curtain, you have pre-backstage and then you have stage. So I had my own little routine between the press stage and stage. And everybody, all the technicians were very respectful because they knew I had certain movements that I had to do. I need my space and they all stayed back. And I knew that if I do all those things in order, I'm prepared. I'm ready. No matter how tired, how stressed I am, how many celebrities we have there. Sometimes we perform, I would always perform barefoot, but sometimes we perform there is snow outside and it's a big top. So the stage is cold. So I'm walking on stage and my feet like chicken feet because like I can't really walk because they're cold. But those kind of, you go in the air and you have my toes would just get numb just because it was so cold. But even those kind of things, that for me, it was like, if I had my routine, if I prepare according to this routine, I prepare my body physically and mentally, and then I'm ready to move. After I get off stage, I can get angry, I can throw things around, I can just get like, That's what I would do, because it's a live performance, so things happen, and then you just have to let things out, but this happens afterwards. Yeah.
That really speaks to how powerful a routine can be, no matter how simple it is or how routine it is. Do you find that you, in those moments, would be going on autopilot and you just trusted that you were going through the right motions?
I can tell you this much. I'm someone who is afraid of heights and deep water. And my first show was underwater, which is O show. First time I had to go underwater and when we did classes, I started to cry. So my instructor actually took my hand and we went together like 5 meters depth. And then we went 15 meters. So, and then you go heights. But to me, it's the same thing. Height or underneath, it's the same. You are not in a comfortable position, comfortable environment, and the same heights. So my biggest advice for people who go to do aerial, respect the heights. This is first thing, and I'll explain you why. And the second thing is, do not think how high you are, think what you need to do. Because if I or the same thing depth, don't think how deep you are. Think you need to equalize. You have to breathe. You have to check the pressure, and those kind of things, they will take off your mind how high, how deep you are. And the only reason I could work heights because I knew that I was prepared physically. Because like I hate roller coasters. I can't even do baby roller coasters. My daughter, like she was I think 6, we went and And there was a baby one. And I started to scream. She goes, Mama, stop it. It's embarrassing, She was 6, like I can't do it because I feel like I'm being attached and thrown in there. Just go. But when you work aerial, I'm doing things. I work with my own body. I hold on. I know what I'm doing. So those are the advices. And why I say respect the heights. It's a tragic story, very tragic story. My partner and our best friend from our act, from the Rings Trio from Totem, Jan Arno, in 2018, he died on stage in the show Volta, and he was doing aerial straps. So he was doing heights. He was always fearless. He was the fastest one of us. He would be the fastest spinner, the bravest guy out there, but he was just going for things. And then that happened in March 2018. That was a 3-month postpartum after I had a baby. So when they called me, and about the same time they called me for Wonder Woman 84, and they wanted me to do straps and bungees, I said, I don't do straps anymore. I can't. Physically, first of all, I just had a baby. It's very demanding, and I was already 41 years old. I said, I don't want, I've done it. And I can't do it mentally. Because my first show that I did straps was Love. I did Creation of Love. And I was the mother of John Lennon, playing mother of John Lennon, who died in a car crash on straps. I had no safety. So the way it worked, I had a strap. I would wrap it around my wrist and I would hold it. So if I open my hand, I'm done. Now it's a different story. But so when Jan, unfortunately, it's a tragedy. So it's when he fell, he actually had safety. He had a strap loop and it was tight, but still he slipped out of it and he fell on stage. But then when I think back that when I was performing Love show and I was dying twice a night because that was the story of the act and I had no safety, I got scared what I was doing before, But when as you're performing, you cannot be scared. If you are scared, step away, because that's when you start to make mistakes. I remember when flying, one performance, I was flying during the Love show. I'm doing my routine and suddenly I feel a pop, my rib pop out. I just feel dislocation of my rib. And I suddenly have a hard time to breathe, and then your mind starts to race and I have no safety. Like I'm saying, I'm holding, I have pain, but I'm holding and I'm flying around the theater. And I'm thinking, what do I do? Do I stop? Do I continue? Do I stop? So you have to judge yourself very quickly. So I finished the act, but then I couldn't breathe right after that. But that's what I'm saying is that heights, respect the heights. Never take it for granted. You have to be focused no matter how tired you are or how fatigued you are. You still have to be focused on each movement you are doing, how you hold, how strong you hold, where your body is, where you're flying. I'm just saying it, guys, it's very important if you go into aerial work. Do not take it for granted. You get comfortable with heights and then you start to make mistakes. So always think where you are. And about the routine before the show, like I said, some people, like I'm Ukrainian or Russian, we are superstitious and everybody knows that. But if you work in a multinational company, you got to respect that. You got to respect that each nationality, each country might have their own superstitious things. And like I said, for example, Totem, we loved the show. We had an amazing group of people. We were 18 nationalities, 11 different languages, and we worked perfectly together. Everybody had their own space. And if it's your act that goes on stage, you have the space. Some people, were blessing themselves before going on stage because you go for dangerous work. You never know what's going to happen. And you have family behind, so circus is fun to look at, but it's hard work. Even though you have your actors like 5-7 minutes on stage, that's what people see. They do not see everything what's happening behind those curtains. So sorry, I have a lot of like blah, 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 but those are important things that you learn with age, with experience, with changing the shows. I was someone who could not be on the same show too long. I love to change. I love to change what I was doing, the shows I was doing, the acts I was doing. Like I said, I started from underneath the water and I went to the heights. So I've tried a lot of things because I love doing it. And at one point I said, well, I've done it. Time to move on.
There's just a lot to unpack here. One, I'm very surprised to hear that you were afraid of going underwater and afraid of heights, because your first show was in Las Vegas. And for anybody who doesn't know that show, a lot of the acrobats will do these incredible acts in the air and they'll jump really high, or they'll be swinging from the silks or a lyra or some prop. and then they dive straight into the water. And sometimes they don't emerge because you actually have scuba divers underneath who are supplying them with oxygen. So it is a very, not only a technically advanced show as far as the entertainment's concerned, but as far as the performance is concerned, it's also very technically advanced. So to hear you tell the story about how you conquered your fear 5 meters at a time, 5 meters at a time, I think it may sound silly at first, but it's so powerful. A lot of people, when they are going through working with any kind of anxiety that they have, a really great piece of advice is just to do a little at a time, a little at a time, a little at a time. And that's exactly what you and your coach did for that show. And I love that you said, if you're scared, step away, because that's when you make mistakes. And you put a lot of emphasis on focus and on routine and on preparation. Because what you guys do is quite literally a matter of life and death. Like you said, if there's no safety on you and you let go of your strap, you're done. People can die falling from a height of 10 feet or less. And you guys are well above those heights. So respecting the height is so important in this career. You also, when you did the championships, the Arnold Classic, and you were also an IFBB pro athlete. When did you do those? Was that during your Cirque career? Was it before?
So the interesting part, everybody tells me, do one thing at a time. I never did that. So I loved, again, I'm talking about myself. I don't advise anybody anything. I'm just telling you my story. I loved going parallel ways. So I loved my artistic world, which is the circus, and I loved my athletic world, which was fitness. So I did, I won all my titles in vacations, no matter how funny it sounds. But so the first time I won the worlds was, the first time I started to compete was 2001. No, sorry, for 97. Right before I went to Cirque, I became second in Europe. I joined Cirque. I forgot about fitness. Then I left Osho 2001. I went back to Ukraine. I competed again. I became again second in Europe, third in the world, and I joined circus again, Saltimbanco show. And then Saltimbanco, I wasn't competing. My daughter was born. And then I did Love Show. And after Love Show, I finished it. It was 2008. I was like, well, I have free time. What do I do? Well, I'll try to go back to fitness to compete. And the same year, a few months after I finished Love, I won the world. And then 2009, I won the Europe. It was overall world. Overall Europe 2009. Then 2009, I also won the World Games. I got awarded by our president of Ukraine. I got a medal for courage, for sports achievement. And then 2009, I joined Totem. And then I was like, well, in Totem, my role, I had to be, and I was. It's what my passion is. I love to be strong. And the story of that act is that I was doing. First of all, I love the act. I love the show. I loved my team. And the story of the act was I was this Hollywood, Bollywood type character, but who was also actually very physically strong and functionally strong. So I was working out anyway. So I thought, okay, well, in this case, fitness helps me to be on stage, and stage helps me to compete in fitness because it's also very artistic. So I kept competing, but I had to compete only in my vacation time. So I had to see if the schedule of the competition fits the schedule of us having a break between the cities because I was on tour. And miraculously, most of the times it did. So 2011, I went back to compete and I won the worlds again, all around worlds overall. It was a great competition because it was like the biggest, strongest girls were there. It never happened after that, the same strength competition. So I won the world 2011. And then 2012, I did Arnold for the first time. I won it right away. And then it was a funny story because we were competing, we were performing with Cirque, and then the competition was in Madrid. And then our next city was Atlanta. So I went to compete in Arnold. I won. I didn't see Arnold. And I'll go to perform in Atlanta. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger happened to be there to film his new movie. And so he was going to come see the show. But most of the time, the celebrities, they come backstage, but he would not want to come backstage. But then our PR guy, who was also a great friend of ours, he basically contacted PR people of Arnold saying, hey, there is a girl, she just won your competition, and would you mind to come meet her? So of course they had to check out if I really did. I'm going to show the picture. So Arnold, he came to see the show. I was so freaking nervous. I performed for so many celebrities, and I have to go on stage, and I'm like this. I'm shaking, and all of that. That's what I'm saying. That you need to be so strong inside and outside that even no matter how shaky you are, you still go through the act. So they don't see that because you still have to smile, you still have to act, you still have to do this, but inside your heart is just like in the audience already, it's beating so fast. But he's one of people that the celebrity that they met, but at the same time, he's such an important person for the industry that I'm competing in. He created this kind of industry in a way. So he came to see the show, and then he comes backstage to meet, but he would meet just me. Like, he didn't go all the way backstage, but right behind the stage. They have different points. And so I took my medal, my cup, my diploma, and like, wow, can you sign for me? He was so nice, so gentle and smiley, all of that. And so we had a really nice conversation. And he asked me, so did you sign up? Because the two biggest competitions at that time was in Europe, Arnold Classic in Europe, in Madrid. And then the next one, the biggest one in Columbus. So he asked me, so did you sign up yet for the Columbus one? I'm like, I got so nervous, like, well, no, I did not. I don't know if I have a break between, for this time. He's like, you need to sign up. I was like, damn, maybe I should, because Arnold himself is saying that. So then I look at the competition time and my schedule, like, well, it does fit. So maybe I should. So this is when he came backstage.
What I love is you're totally decked out in your competition, your bikini, and you've got the tan and you've got big jewelry, but your makeup reminds me of Cirque makeup.
This is basically when he came to Cirque du Soleil. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
When he came to see the show at Cirque du Soleil, and that's I just finished the show. And he came backstage, so we took a picture, and that's why I have Cirque makeup, Cirque costume, but I took my medal and my cup, so I was like, fast, I have to get everything so he can sign it for me. And nobody ever has a cup signed by Arnold, but I do because I met him in person afterwards. And so he was very nice, and he is like, did you sign up for the next competition? Like, maybe I should. So because he told me that, like, I didn't plan to compete. I did. I competed, and I won overall title of Arnold and Columbus. I was like, I did it, yeah.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to give us a rating and a review. Share your favorite industry insight on your social media pages, and be sure to tag @IndustryExplorers. For more Industry Explorers goodies, go to youcanfollow.me/Industry Explorers. That's youcanfollow.me/Industry Explorers.